Hello, welcome to week 6 of the 11th season of the BPL Draft League. We are in the Bishop Division, as one would come to expect at this point. Our week 6 opponent is Shellsea. She has a pretty damn strong team with Great Tusk, Mega Gardevoir, Raging Bolt, Rillaboom, and even Sheer Force for Alligator. A lot of good firepower. The speed tiers are a little iffy, as you can very clearly see. Landorus is just straight up faster than every other Mon besides Crobat on her team. And in general, we actually have a really fucking good matchup into her, which is very unfortunate for her, very fortunate for me, because I am currently 3-2 at +3 differential, coming off of my week 5 loss to Ice. And I want to pick up a win because there are only 4 weeks left in the season, this one included. And depending on how this goes, I could be in a bit of a dire predicament if I lose here. But I figure the matchup is pretty favorable. The main threats we are concerned with here are Sweeper Great Tusk, potential Mega Gardevoir stuff, but not so much. Raging Bolt is a small threat, but we have a strategy in mind with Zeraora to neutralize it for the most part. Rillaboom is a bit of an issue. I don't take grass-type attacks extraordinarily well, and it really hurts my Rain Cord both defensively and offensively, including T-Pex. And it provides nice recovery for the majority of their team. Terra for Alligator is the main problem that I'm concerned about here. Silvally is also a looming threat, but I can only really predict what Silvally is going to be. I can't, say for a fact what it is. My main idea is, maybe it's potentially Terra Poison Silvally. I thought Terra Electric was also threatening. I think I had some thoughts about Terra Grass, too, but I can't really remember off the top of my head what exactly I expect. I think Terra Poison was my working theory. But I wasn't 100% sure what it would be if she brought it. Mainly, I was concerned about her trying to figure out a way to outspeed me, and Rillaboom and for Alligator with the Scarf basically fit those roles pretty well, so I was pretty sure I needed to prep for them. Anyways, let's get into our strat. As you can see, we have a good matchup here. And, yeah. Our plan here is Terra Steel Zeraora for any form of Raging Bolt that could come at me, barring some bizarre set that, predicts my prediction of her prediction. Terra Steel is mainly to cover for the likely Terra Fairy Raging Bolt or Terra Steel, which I think Terra Steel is actually more likely because she could potentially read my Terra Fairy Zeraora, and instead I will just go with Terra Steel. Because if I was Terra Fairy Zeraora, I'm immune to everything Raging Bolt can throw at me besides the Terra Blast, which, would be why you would expect Terra Fairy or Terra Steel. But even then, Terra Steel is the more likely one just because Terra Fairy is the threat. And Terra Fairy Steel also resist Gardevoir really well, but I assume she's going to have coverage for that. Focus Blast or something, right? Plasma Fist, Drain Punch, Knockoff, just to hit stuff. But we also have Toxic for the Great Tusk switch in, which is going to happen. I'm pretty confident. Another Mon we brought was a female Basculegion for the special attacks. I felt as though Shadow Ball was a far better move to be clicking on average than Phantom Force, which takes 2 turns to come out. I have just enough speed to outspeed Scarfed for Alligator in the rain, and I have an amount of HP investment that I can't quite remember what was for. I think it maximizes my substitute potential, which we have for Raging Bolt using Thunderclap, but I don't quite remember. Ice Beam is there for Rillaboom as well, just in case that's something to worry about, and Ice Beam for Raging Bolt if it doesn't Terra. Pelipper does not have U-turn this week. It is physically defensive with a little bit of special attack for some extra damage. I have all the physical defense I need with that investment, and didn't really see fit to add any more. We have 8 speed just to get ahead of Orthworm, and like I said, 56 special attack just to hit a little bit harder with Weather Ball. Since we're not running Scald, we're running Toxic, which is how I plan on debilitating the Great Tusk. And the only other mons that could get scalded are Raging Bolt, which doesn't care about a burn unless it's physical for whatever weird reason. Which could be to predict Zeraora doing some shenanigans, because I do believe it gets Earthquake. But like, yeah, I don't really care about burning anything this game. The other option is for Alligator, but like, I'd rather just Hurricane that shit, let this die or whatever, and get the hell out of there. It's something else. Defog for hazard removal, obviously, because I don't really want to be switching into hazards too frequently, even though my team takes it pretty well. And then hello Lando with the Terragrass. Oh yeah, actually this is my second take of this, because I actually hopped into the match at the end of the match and spoiled the result. So this is a redo of that. I had said in the last video, or the last take, I don't remember why I was Terragrass Lando. And spoiler alert, it doesn't really matter why I was Terragrass Lando, because my initial plan was to terrestrialize this thing. I believe it was to take hits from Rillaboom better, in addition to taking hits like a water hit from Feraligatr, and like softening ice attacks somewhat. But I have Focus Blast for Earthworm and Sludge Wave for both Rillaboom and Gardevoir, and then Earth Power just for its Lando move. But yeah, it's a Terra Zeraora game, just because Terra Steel is so strong into Raging Bolt. But like, just in case something went wrong, I believe Terra Grass was a really solid call if she brought what I expected her to bring. And yeah. We have this fucking weird ass thing that I don't really recall the reason for bringing anything here. Mystical Fire, I know, is for Orthworm. I couldn't tell you anything beyond that. I know this also lowers Gardevoir's special attack if it switches in for whatever reason. I don't know why I had Rocky Helmet. I assume it was for knockoff or Ice Spinner or some shit from Great Tusk or Orthworm or whatever. But yeah, I couldn't tell you. But Jirachi is just like kind of a standard Wish Pass set with lefties, Iron Head, and some rocks. It's here to support. Iron Head can in fact Oko Gardevoir if it doesn't have bulk investment, which, I mean, I kind of expect it to have bulk investment going into this week. So I don't expect this to be getting any Okos, right? But like, yeah, it's still Iron Head. It still has a flinch chance. I'm not faster than Gardevoir, but the chip is still nice because I do have 2 Pokemon, 3 if you include Basculegion and Rain, that all outspeed Gardevoir. So I'm not 1,000,000% concerned, and I do think it's fine that we just outspeed. I think this is invested for Great Tusk. It might be Silvally. I don't think it's Silvally, because that's a lot of speed to be missing if you're trying to outspeed a 95 base speed Pokemon. My mindset was, I believe Silvally's not coming, and even if it does, it's going to probably be Terra Poison or something that doesn't really threaten Jirachi. But yeah, with all that said, let's get into the match that I have at the beginning of the game, as to not spoil it. Yeah, team looks very much so different from what I was expecting. I thought this might be Rillaboom and this might be Feraligatr, but we have here a ground Silvally. You can't see it yet until I start the match. I could see it in the team preview though, which is how I knew to lead based around it. But yeah, these 4, about what I was expecting. These 2 I figured were potential replacements, but I didn't actually expect both of them to come over Rillaboom and Feraligatr, no less. Like Raging Bolt, I could have seen her leave behind. Orthworm, I could have seen her leave behind. The other 2, not so much. I think that was a bit questionable from her. But it is how it worked. I I mean, Enamorus here is, I think it's just Great Tusk, right? If something goes wrong. I don't know. I don't remember why I brought Enamorus. It doesn't do much. I'm sorry for the Enamorus lovers. But let's get this started. So straight off the bat, let's just go over her Terras. She has Terra Ice on Raging Bolt, and I believe that is it, because no for Alligator. This is ground type Silvally, as we said before. I am aware that this thing can run Ice Beam, and I don't really want to take it. So I am going... Jesus Christ, that's loud. I am going to switch this out into this thing, which is significantly more help. Oh, I remember why I had Rocky Helmet. It's for Rillaboom. Duh. I know I'm taking a super effective hit here. I know I'm probably taking another. I'm staying in, and I'm just going to click an attacking move to see what this is. I figure this should be enough to take a hit from something. And I'm like, alright, I'm going to risk it having T-Bolt. I'm going to switch into Pelipper. And it uses Ice Beam again. So I'm like, alright, cool. I think you're going to use T-Bolt. I'm switching into Zeraora. And it actually Parting Shots, which tells me it probably does not have T-Bolt, but I still don't want to take that risk. I knew this matchup was going to happen eventually. I decide to hard call her not attacking me with like close combat or Earthquake or anything, and I get my Toxic off. Big risky play, but it worked out immensely. She goes for a CC just to punish me staying in or terrestrializing or whatever. I go out into this because I'm protecting ground or fighting, and it works out great. This ends up being Booster Energy. I don't even realize that it was Booster Energy because weather was up. And there's a lot going on here, but I'm just going to play catch up real quick. She switched out the Raging Bolt immediately, which is not a bad play at all because of Zeraora existing. I'm sure she knew Zeraora was coming in, and switched out accordingly. Now, the Spite Ups, I got the Mental Herb off of, so it's immune. It's no longer Taunt weak. It's bulky enough to survive my attacks, but for whatever reason, it doesn't go for Sticky Webs. I'm assuming it's because of Pelipper. But beyond that, I'm not quite sure. She got my lefties, which is a little unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. Whatchamacallit? Sticky Webs could have gone up. It wouldn't have been hard for me to remove, but she does have this, so it's like if she played a good positioning game, she could have taken better advantage of it, I feel. We both get rocks up here, though, just cuz. And at this point, I'm figuring, okay, let's get some health back. I'm not really afraid of this thing. And I go for Pelipper first with my heals here, because it is the Orthworm Threatinator. And I get rid of hazards, which may have been a little premature at this point, because sub is up. But I get the Weather Ball off and break sub anyways. And she sets rocks back up. I predict a switch out at this point, and I predict so correctly. I didn't know what was switching out. I don't remember what I was calling switching out. I want to say this was what I was calling switching out, but I don't remember for a fact, right? So, oops. So, here we have a situation. I want to see how much damage this thing's doing. I'm keeping Jirachi in no matter what, because I'm pretty confident it takes any hit no matter what. And we're going to wish past to Zeraora so we can get this in safely. It is an extremely safe switch in, because there should be nothing that this thing could do to threaten us, and rightfully so. We catch a Thunderbolt and come back to full HP. I knock off because, like I said before, I forgot that Booster Energy was used back up here, turn 7. And I feel silly after having clicked it, but hey. She switches out at this point. I go for a Toxic, because I'm like, well, if the Raging Bolt really wants to stay in and fight, then we can do that. If she wants to switch out to Gardevoir for whatever reason, cool. If it's Orthworm, I don't really care. And then if it's Terra Ground Silvally, then it works for me. Or if it's Great Tusk, like, regardless of the situation. It might have been a poor Toxic, but hey, it was a Toxic. And if she made a misplay, it would have been bad for her, but she didn't. She doubles it back into Raging Bolt, and I am assuming that she is probably not going to Electric Attack, but she does. And she gets some good chip off on my Jirachi before letting it get back to full HP. Which I can respect calling the Zeraora switch, in this position. If I had switched into Zeraora, it would have been really bad because of this thing being a pain in the ass. But she just parting shots back out. And, yeah. I have confirmed that I am... Fuck, my ears. I have confirmed that I am indeed faster than it, even though I am not EV'd to be faster than it. And yeah, that's pretty cool. So I like knew from the Draining Kiss that it was like pretty bulky. But I knew it was either going to be lacking in firepower or speed, which is why I felt pretty comfortable wishing in front of it, even though it had the type advantage. Ice Spinner comes in. I don't get the wish off on my Enamorous. That thing is so loud. And it brings in Pelipper for free. I just go for a Hurricane here because maybe I confused the Raging Bolt on switch in. And she doesn't switch in Raging Bolt. She just goes for Body Press. I assume she's sacking this thing. I get a Roost off, and then I plan on defogging the rocks away. Realistically, I should have roosted, defogged, roosted, and then if she set rocks again, Wither Ball, and then I would have been at a little more HP. In a better position overall. I have plenty of roost to spare, but in comes what's-its-face. Did her... Yeah, her Gardevoir set the rain. So that works for me. I bring in Jirachi just because I know I tank a +1 Shadow Ball, unless I get crit. Prayed I didn't get crit. And we actually get really lucky and succeed a roll on an Oko for Gardevoir. That was, I believe, a 32-ish percent, 31.3% chance in my favor. I don't remember exactly what the calc was, but I know it was like low 30% for that Iron Head to kill. Like, it probably shouldn't have, but it did. So that's really hype. Jirachi put in work, and at this point, we're not guaranteed to win yet. We still need to get back in a position where we can win, so I'm going to try to get as much HP back on my Jirachi as I can. She goes for a Thunderclap here, which is really questionable, considering that my go-to option probably would have been Wish, but I could see why, considering she had Terra Iced and was probably afraid of a Iron Head. Assuming, like, this Jirachi can be anything in terms of attack investment, right? Because it OHKO'd the Gardevoir. But regardless, she switches out Raging Bolt, and I just get a tiny little Drain Punch on Great Tusk. And get my Rain back up. And at this point, no matter what she switches in, it's going to take massive damage to a Weather Ball. So I'm just going to click it because I'm very confident at this point that she does not have Supercell Slam. I had been playing cautiously around it the whole game. And I'm just going to go for it. And if my Pelipper wants to go down the next turn, I think I was comfortable with it. Yeah. I was. And at this point, the game is in fact over because I have this. Even if she switched into this, I was going to sub, and I'm subbing anyways just so I get the chip off. And as you can see, the Surf does more than enough damage to 2-hit KO. And the game is over with the Zeraora switching because there is nothing that this thing can do to hurt me. And that is week 6. We win with the +4 score, going on to our +3, bringing us to a 4-2 with a +7 differential. And at this point, because our differential is really good, I calculated that provided there aren't like a ton of people getting 6-2 scores, which seemed unlikely based on how matchups were going at this point. I figured if I won one more game, I would probably be able to secure myself a playoff spot. And I have 3 weeks to win one more game. And my next opponent is actually, like, the matchup is quite favorable for me. So going into week 7, we are looking really, really nice with a really solid shot of making playoffs in our first singles draft league. Unquestionably, the MVP for this match was Jirachi. Landorus, I'm sure some of you have noticed at this point, is following a type of trend where it doesn't fucking do anything throughout any of the matches. It, like, stays around for 1 or 2 turns, and, like, I led with it, and then hard swapped into an Amorous, and that was it. That was the last thing it did. And the match, it led, you know? Like, it didn't even do anything. And, like, I've won multiple games where Lando just doesn't show up for more than a turn or do anything. Like, it doesn't click any moves. I'm playing a 5v6, and I think 2, maybe 3 of my games. No, 3 of my games. Is it 3? No, every single one of my games that I've won so far. Because week 4, I don't even think it came out of its Pokeball. Week 6, it led and then switched out immediately and never came back in. Week 1, it died turn 1, and I still won that game. And then week 3, it actually did like 2 or 3 turns of work. It set up sub and forced Regieleki to take itself out. But, like, regardless, Lando has barely done anything. And at this point, I'm heavily regretting having it as a Terra Captain. Because it's just, like, it's not doing anything, you know? It's so useless for my team that it's just like, I should have terrassed. I should have had Basculegion as a Terra Captain. It was the main thing going through my head. But, after this week, I decided to make some trades. Some of them may be a little questionable. But I will go over those trades next week, and I will post that next week match on either Thursday or Friday. It is very late tonight, as you may have been able to see. It is past 10 p.m. I totally forgot to record this, and I'll be uploading this very shortly. But yeah, I will catch y'all on Thursday or Friday. I'm not really sure which I'm gonna record and upload the week 7 match on yet, but we'll see, and I will catch you guys then. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye. Also, the new OBS update was fucking with my computer.